Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to Spain, and there's a lot of good craft beer coming out of Spain these days, but for this one we're going to return to a brewery who I visited as part of a collaboration review that I did a couple of months back, so I'm excited to have a look at one of their beers and do a dedicated review to them. So for this one we're going to go to a little place called Noáin, which is in Navarro in Spain, just a little bit to the south of Pamplona, and we're going to do my first kind of dedicated review to Naparbier, and this is a beer that is kind of quite appropriate for me. So this one's an IPA, it comes in at 6.5% and it's called the Bagpiper. So definitely looking forward to this one. It's quite highly rated as well. I think it had a 96 or so on Rate Beer overall when I checked out earlier, and as I said, my previous experiences with this brewery have been pretty positive, or my one experience that I've had with them so far. I think that was the Pottokka, which was a collaboration with Lager, if I'm remembering correctly. That was a really nice New England IPA, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this one turns out. And as always, I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. And it is cool to be able to return to Spain and do these reviews. I'm really glad that we're starting to get more of these beers coming over to Scotland and England and things like that, and also up to Sweden as well when I've been there. So yeah, hopefully that continues for quite a while. I do need to get out to Spain and try some of these different craft beers down there as well. But anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Naparbier before. Hopefully I can return to these guys in the fairly near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Spanish beer reviews that I'm doing for you, and that's being added to just whenever I can. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated, and particularly when it comes to Spanish beer, it would be great to hear from you guys because it's not something we hear too much about in Northern Europe. But anyway, to tell you a little bit about Naparbier before we taste the beer then. So Naparbier are based in Noáin in Navarro in Spain, just a little bit to the south of Pamplona, and they were founded back in 2009 by 4 entrepreneurs, and I will apologise for any of the pronunciations being wrong here. So the 4 guys involved with this brewery are Juan Rodriguez, Yoso Tanunye, Chera Aistue and Jose Javi Rodriguez. So the guys found themselves unemployed, so they decided to and I think that was mainly due to the Spanish economic crisis a couple of years back, but the guys found themselves unemployed, and so they decided to move forward with starting their own business. So they started off with a small warehouse of 150 square metres with a very modest capacity of brewing, but later in 2012 they moved to a larger facility where they can produce 500,000 litres of beer per year. And in the early days they did a number of collaborations with a lot of the well-known Scandinavian breweries. I think Mikkeller and Toul were ones that they collaborated with at some point, and also with a number of other European breweries as well, and this really helped them establish the reputation. And for a Spanish brewery, I guess that's probably particularly important, because back in those days, you know, Spain wasn't a country that you would associate so much with craft beer. Of course that is changing now, but Spain, you know, stereotypically I guess, is really famous for its wine and its food and things like that. Beer isn't something that you would generally associate with Spain, but they are producing some awesome craft beer these days, and that kind of wine and food background gives them a really kind of solid base to do that. So as I say, check out some of these Spanish craft beers. But in 2014 they expanded their brewery again, and they're now joined by 2 more partners. So this is Alex from Madrid and then Sven Bosch from Barcelona, who's involved with the Beer Cab Bar, and I believe they are continuing to expand their capacity as well. But these guys have got a good reputation. They're probably one of the better known Spanish craft breweries these days. I mean, you've got Basklin Brewing Project who are doing a lot of different things. You've got these guys, Naparbier. You've also got Edge Brewing from Barcelona. And there's a few other ones kind of popping up all over the place, so it is cool to see the Spanish beers starting to find their way around Europe now. And as I say, hopefully I can actually go and visit some of these little craft breweries down there. Spain, mainland Spain, is a country that I really do need to go and visit. It's a lovely place, and the Spanish people I know are great, so I do want to go and visit it at some point in the fairly near future. So you might get some more Spanish beer reviews somewhere down the line. But yeah, that's all you need to know about the brewery for just now. As I say, if you want to read a little bit more about them, check out the website in the description below, and they've got quite a fairly they've got a fairly big range of different beers as well. They've got a good core range in there, so have a look at these and see what you like. But my experience with these guys so far has been really positive. So yeah, as I say, check out the links in the description below. But as you can see, the artwork on this one is pretty cool. I think I'm actually going to keep this bottle because I do like that. To see a Spanish brewery doing something that's kind of Scottish like that is pretty cool. So yeah, the Bagpiper IPA, I do like that, the sort of Grim Reaper kind of skeleton kind of thing with the pipes there. You can see there's the Naparbier bottle cap on this one, and yeah, it's nicely presented. It tells you a little bit on the side here, 6.5% Starkrill, so this beer will have been intended to be exported to Sweden. It has some German things on there as well for the fand too, but yeah, it's nicely presented, this one, and as I say, I do like the artwork that you get from these beers. So without further ado then, let's get it out and get on with the tasting. As I say, 6.5% IPA. There wasn't any stats available on this one when I was checking it out earlier, so I can't tell you what hops and malts and things are in it, but I can tell you when you open it up, you do get a nice fruity and kind of caramelly note coming out of the beer. But yeah, that looks lovely. So yeah, as you can see and as you would expect from the IPA, it's poured a nice dark, really kind of almost blood orange coloured. There's a solid finger and a half of a frothy head on this one. I would say that's a cream, very slightly beige coloured head. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and quite a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But you can really smell some of these lovely juicy fruits coming off this one just as you move it around. You can definitely smell a bit of that sort of caramel malt base to it as well. So yeah, if I put my fingers behind the glass, you can see it's not really transparent. Yeah, definitely quite an opaque beer this one, but looks pretty much exactly as you would expect from an IPA. So let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on. Oh yeah. The fruity juicy notes in that one are really nice. Definitely leans towards the tropical side of things. So I think there's a bit of kind of passion fruit in there. There's a little bit of a kind of peachy note. I want to say there's a wee bit of an oily orange in there as well. I do wonder maybe if there's a bit of Amarillo. But mangoes definitely a little bit of mango. I do wonder if there's a wee bit of that kind of lychee thing. I wonder if there's a bit of citra in here. But that said, when you go a bit closer into it actually, it does become more tropical. When you're further away from it, you start to pick up the oranges a little bit more. So as I always say, do the chemistry waft thing, because you will start to pick up different notes coming out of the beer. But yeah, it does, when you go closer into it, definitely more tropical. A little bit of the peachy sharpness, passion fruit and mangoes definitely. I think there's a wee bit of orange in there, but there's a good bit of floral aromaticity. You're always going to get that when it comes to an IPA. A little bit of lighter kind of grassy character as well. And you can smell some of the nice caramelly notes. It's a bit bready underneath. There's a sweet sort of caramelly note, maybe a little bit of biscuit as well. But this beer, it leans both with it when it comes to the fruits. It's a sweet kind of juicy thing that comes out of it, and in terms of the malt base, there's a little bit of kind of sweetness coming out of there too. But overall, the aroma's really nice. It leans towards the nice kind of fruity, juicy sort of thing. So yeah, as I always say, just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck in. You can see the head is just kind of going down a little bit, but it looks really nice, it smells really nice. Let's get stuck into this one then. So this one's the Bagpiper IPA from Naparbier in Noáin in Navarro in Spain, just a little bit to the south of Pamplona. Let's get stuck in. Slange, skull. I should say salud as well. But that's a nice beer. It's really interesting that, because to me, it kind of has the feel of a West Coast IPA, but then when it mellows out a little bit more, you start to get a wee bit of that kind of New England smoothness to it. But it's nice. It's a good beer, and you wouldn't expect anything less from these guys. They've got their reputation for a reason. They're producing some good stuff, and this is no exception to that. But yeah, it is really nice. So if you get the chance to try this beer, have a go at it. It's all about, this one's all, it's got a good hoppy bitterness to it. But one of the things I always find with the Spanish beers, and I guess Southern European beer in general, they do like to have a refreshing quality to them, and this one has a nice, it's got a good balance between the oily side of the mouthfeel and the wetness, and it does have just this kind of refreshing quality to it, and that's one of the things I love about the beer from the kind of Southern European countries. Yeah, so with this one, Malt base, as you expect, is quite simple. You can feel that sort of pale ale, bready malt base just blanket in the middle of the tongue. There's a bit of caramel sweetness right in the middle of the palate, and then some biscuity grainy notes kind of going out towards the sort of edge of your tongue. But it's really, really quite nice. I just like how the malt base goes together, and as it comes in, and then the hops kind of push it back a little bit, but as the beer mellows out, that's when you start to get more of these kind of sweeter, bready notes coming out of the beer. But everything in this beer just goes together really nicely. I mean, it's a very straight up IPA, but it's just well done, if that makes sense. There's a lot of beers that are like that. Like, I mean, when it comes to, if you can do a beer and you can do it simply, or you can make it simple, not too complex, but you can do it well, it's always the sign of a good brewer, I think, and that's what I'm getting out of this one. This beer, it's not the most complex IPA that you're going to come across, but everything it does really, really well. And I have to admit, it's one thing I've found in recent times I've been missing a little bit, because with the West Coast IPA, I always enjoyed that little bit of a caramel malt base, whereas in recent times, a lot of breweries have been blasting them with hops and just having a straight up pale ale malt base, or moving towards the New England side of things. I have to admit, I do miss a little bit of that caramelly quality, so for me, this beer really kind of hits the spot in that regard, because it does have that sweet sort of caramel malt base to it. But in terms of the hops with this one, tiny little bit of earthiness in the back corners of the palate. As you come further forward along the sides of your tongue, you can feel that slightly spicy, floral, kind of aromatic note coming out of the beer. As you go round the very front curve of the palate, there's a little bit of a lighter sort of grassy note coming out of it as well, but it's quite a spicy, floral, aromatic note that comes out of this one. I do like that, actually. But yeah, on the fruity side of things, as I always say, just behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you get that little oily bubble, where those nice kind of juicy fruity esters will start to come out of the beer. With this one, you can feel there's a bit of passion fruit just kind of underpinning this one. It's not quite dark enough to be grapefruit, but the passion fruit just sort of underpins this beer. On top of that, you get a little bit of the kind of sharper peachy flavours. Then there's a wee bit of apricot as the beer progresses a little bit, and I wonder, maybe there's a little bit of a kind of tangerine flavour coming out of the beer as well later on. Maybe there's mosaic or a little bit of, I'm not sure, there could be a bit of Amarillo in there, but there are other tropical fruits coming out of it. Maybe a little bit of pineapple-y note. That's what makes me wonder, is there a bit of mosaic in here? But the slightly oily orange makes me think more Amarillo, but at the same time you've got a little bit of a kind of lychee, and I think a little bit of a gooseberry note coming out, so I do wonder if there's a bit of Citra in here. Citra, of course, is a really popular hop when it comes to IPAs these days, but the main point to take away is that it's a bloody good beer. I would say with this, I think the passion fruit's quite prominent in this one. The peaches and apricots, those are probably the most prominent fruits, but it does have a little bit more complexity to it than that in terms of the fruity side of things. But overall, I would say it's a very straight up IPA. It isn't too complex, if that makes sense, but it does everything that it aims to do really well, and it reminds me a little bit of some of these West Coast IPAs that have the lovely kind of caramel malt base. It's a really well done beer, this one, so if you get the chance to try this, have a go at it. I think it's very, very well done, and you know, I wouldn't expect anything less from the guys at Naparbier. Based on my last experience, I think this is a really, really good beer. One thing I'd be curious to know about this is when they've called it Bagpiper, I'm surprised that they didn't save that name for a Scotch ale. I'd be really curious to know why they decided to use it for an IPA. Of course, Scotland is associated with the Scotch ale. You've got the Dirty Bastards and things like that from Founders. There's loads of really good Scotch ales out there these days, so I'd be interested to know. It'd be cool to see these guys, or cool to see a Spanish brewery having a go at one of these Scotch ales, but it's a really nice beer, this one. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again, and I'd love to try this on tap somewhere in Spain, so maybe I'll go and visit the north of Spain, Pamplona, and see if I can get this beer on tap at some point. In terms of the mouthfeel then, I would say mid-bodied with this one. Carbonation's quite smooth, although it does have a little bit more of a prickle to it, but you would expect that, I think, with a southern European beer. As I was saying earlier, with Spain being a very hot country, you have to have that kind of refreshing factor when it comes to the beer. So yeah, I would say the carbonation is a little bit more, but by no means is it overpowering. It just has a little bit of a prickle to it. It's a good balance between oily and wet, the mouthfeel in this one. Good bit of hoppy bitterness, like I was saying, a nice spicy floral note to this beer. The malt base is well balanced between the smoothness and the sweetness. It leans a little bit more towards the sweetness, and there's a good bit of a juicy fruity character to this beer as well. But overall, like I say, it's an IPA that I'm really quite impressed with. I think it leans a little bit more towards the West Coast side of things, although that said, it does have a little bit of the smoothness that you would expect from the New England style IPAs. But the main point to take away is that it's a really solid IPA, not the most complex one you're going to come across, but it's one of these ones that wants to stick to it, and it goes straight down the line and does what it does very, very well. So have a go at it and see what you think for yourself. And it's been really cool to find a beer from Spain called Bagpiper. I like finding little Scottish things like that from different countries. So yeah, a big thumbs up to Naparbier from this one, and hopefully I can review more of their beers in the future. I think for my next review from these guys, I need to have a look at one of their darker beers, because that's 2 IPAs that I've had a go at now. So I need to try something from the other end of the spectrum. As I always say, trying a stout or something like that, a stout or a porter, and then an IPA, that really gives you a good idea of what the scope of a brewery is. And these guys, on the lighter side of things, definitely, they're not disappointing by any means. So yeah, I think that's a good way to sign off on this review. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Naparbier as well, and let me know some of the other Spanish craft breweries that I should be having a look at too, and hopefully I can get a hold of some of those. But until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, like I was saying, check out my social media, but most importantly, check out some of these Spanish craft beers, because there's a really, really good selection of them these days. And as I was saying earlier, Spain is a country you typically associate more with wine and food, but they're really producing some great beer. So until the next time, it's Lange just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. The Bagpiper IPA from Naparbier in Noáin in Navarro in Spain. Salud.